this is normal to here, as Jan would say, in the engineering world. So if I were to go straight off of here, my screws would start popping out the back right about here if I did a lot of shaping. So I want my plugs to look square to this, unless I end up doing some radical shaping, then they'll change. So I want the plug hole to be perpendicular to this face, but I want the screw hole to be, if I were to take a straight edge from center to center here, that's basically where my screws go.
From center to center? Is that
So
what
the
you
center
said?
of this side to the center of this side.
Sorry, Joey, hold on a second.
Okay, does that make sense? So I don't want my screws to go this way and have them pop out of my curve that I'm cutting in here. So I want the screws to go that way.
So it's neither, it's not normal to this surface, is what you're
Correct.
saying. Okay.
But if I were to take a straight line, so if I were to measure the center of this and I drew a straight line, that's basically where I want my screws to go. That's my, okay, I'm in the ballpark. That's where I think I want them to go. Okay. So how many people did 7-degree backs? Yeah, so we might even have more issues as we start to lay this out. And so we're going to have to talk about that when we start laying this out. But I want you, this is where I'm starting, is I have this nice straight line running through here. And the screw should be something along that straight line right there. Okay. So now that I have this secured, now I can start kind of drawing my shapes on here. And I kind of gave you information, but we didn't make all the curves. So the curves that we're using is a 1 inch over 24 inch curve. A 3/4 inch over 24 inch curve. I'm assuming, I've not measured these yet, but theoretically they should be 24. Who knows, maybe the 22 and a half. And then we're using this one right here. What size is this? I don't know. It's this size, so I wrote on here that number. Okay, so that's what I used to lay this out. So the first curve that I put on here was this one right here.
You drove your screws first,
No. I'm installing the crest rail.
but you haven't put the screws in yet?
Correct.
You have not.
I have not, because I don't know where they're going. Theoretically, they're going right straight down this line here. But
So
now,
how are you you're just holding the crest rail in place by the supports?
Yes.
While you do your layout?
correct. You want all that added extra information?
And maybe the clamp.
Oh, right here. So this is the special one that you use when you get ahead of yourself and you remove material. So you have to add material back on here so that this fits in the hole right here. So I had this like this. I had this one like this.
And what curvatures are these? Are these curvatures? Or
yes.
these curvatures?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm getting this back. I'm putting this back. So I had, remember how we had this clamped on before?
Yeah.
Since I went too far ahead and you're asking the questions, I'm going back farther. So I've got this clamped on. I have it where I like. Did I lose my clamp again? No, it's over here. So I just kind of had this clamp across here just to kind of keep it snug so it didn't go anywhere.
Okay.
So that's my setup. My crest rail's already been cut. So now I'm going to lay out my curves. So the 3/4 inch curve went right here. No, sorry, that was the 1 inch curve.
No, this is 3/4.
So if you come here, everybody look down. Here, I'll even get the 1 inch closer.
That's the 1 inch.
Yes. Why? Because it looked good.
So that's the initial.
Now that's with a 5 degree, right? So the sound will be different, or the
It
same?
may. I don't know. We'll find out. I want you to do exactly what I'm doing here. Lay this out and go. So if you measure off the front right here, it's about a 1/2 inch off the front.
And you lined it up at the corners here?
Yeah, that's all I did.
Okay. And if ours is slightly proud, you'd still line it up on the
Yeah,
low corners?
probably. Yeah, because what we're gonna do is
Yeah,
we're gonna
trim it down.
we're gonna trim this, and then we're gonna kind of ease this over, you know. And you'll note. Well, I'll be there in a second. Let me finish laying this out. So it's roughly 1 inch. I mean, 1/2 inch. So right here's a 1/2 inch. Okay, and I have everything from 1/4 to 2 inches. So if you decide you need a 7/8 or a 3/8, you know, go with it. Okay. So then I did a lot of research and took every template I had and I laid this like this. And so the goal is to keep this as thick as possible. Okay. So I was just eyeballing kind of where things were. So I started out by hitting the corners, kind of seeing where those are, then slightly moving this in like this. And then I just kind of freeform this shape. Like that.
Did we make that one?
I am not 100% sure if you did or not.
What's it called?
Was it part of the first?
It's called the crest rail backside
Crest rail backside.
curve.
No, I have to see.
So,
I think we did.
So you can compare what you have. And so if I led you down a straight and made you do the wrong arc templates, you know, hey, it's always good to have extra arc templates. Okay? Then I took my little 6-inch one here and kind of put this in the corner.
Put it back in the corner. Don't move it. Silly.
Yeah. Can you pose for a minute?
Oh, you fared the curve.
Okay.
That's the 6-inch.
That's the 6-inch one. And that just kind of do that. You know. And close is good. Okay? Because remember, what happens to the leg as it comes down?
It's shaped.
It gets thicker, right? So it might change a little down here.
so you definitely want to mark that back.
Yeah, so I also want to do, you know, draw this right here. Hey, do this. You can come on this side on. Look, that's the material I'm getting rid of. Okay. And what did I tell you about the joint? What are we going to do with the material at the joint? We're going to leave it extra until we glue it up. So, you know, I might come out like this and just come 1/4 inch out. It's going to be easy for me to take off material.
Much harder for the back.
Yes. And not as fun in this situation. Oops, I cut too much off. You'll probably end up having to make a new crest rail.
Oh,
Again.
Lord, not a new crest rail.
Again, but you'll do it much faster, right?
Anything but that.
Contrasting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got that
accent
chair.
pieces.
So then I took my 1 inch, like this, and actually I have another 1 inch over here. Of course, it'll be logically put in the same place, right? 1 1/8, 1 3/4. Ah, there it is.
So that's the first one you used.
No, I use a 3/4 inch first.
Oh.
3/4 came in here. 3/4 was right here.
No, it was
No,
1 inch.
I think you use 1 inch.
You said 3/4 and you used 1.
Okay, you guys were correct. I used 1.
Okay.
It's a test, right?
So you're gonna use
Test,
it
test.
twice.
Everybody gets an A.
Okay, so I need my 3/4 inch innie. So back over here. 3/4 inch innie.
Now you're gonna use the 3/4.
Okay. And so basically what I'm doing is kind of lining it up with the top of the crest rail. Like this. And maybe your instructor will be nice and put everything on campus.
Oh, I wouldn't count on it. I think he's been saying that since day one.
Yes, I got reamed yesterday because I was not stepping up to my internship duties fast enough.
Internship duties.
Oh, did you know I'm in charge of research and development?
Here or at home? At your
my
home?
son's
At your
company.
son's company.
Now there's 2 sons that are involved. Dad, you're not working fast enough. Why'd you change your mind? Because you two guys told me to. So yes, I have to go lumber shopping today to do some prototyping today.
Wait, draw that again on the leg so I make sure I remember to draw it on the leg. Just put your pencil up there, fake it. Thank you.
Okay. And you decide whether you want to come all the way, or maybe you come in here and put a slight little rate, whatever. It's a sculptural chair.
Okay.
Design it. Okay.
What did you do to that one? On the front?
Well, you could come on. You could make
Well, you
this
could.
square here and kind of, have a little.
Or go the other way?
Yeah.
You can't go the other way.
Do you want these little ears up here?
Could you go like that? Go like that, right?
Yeah, you can do anything you want. Yeah, you can come over here and.
You make the chair legs go up like that ears.
This is what Jan likes me doing the best. Is I come over here and I say, oh, maybe I want little ears right here, and I'll
That's what I was looking for.
put something like that, and then this will come up like this, and then I make my curve tangent to that.
All that's gonna do is hit you right here when you walk by.
That's why you
Somebody
keep,
gets behind you and.
keep people out of your chair. Yeah, and so like on the rocker, Maloose rocker, it kind of comes up.
Yeah,
like
he's
this
got
high.
gigantic ones, yeah.
Again, it's a sculptural chair. What do you want to do with it? Okay, so
And then on the
play with it.
bottom,
The main thing is you if you start doing things like this, now I'm going to come down lower, or maybe you want to move your crest rail down so it meets that point, and now you put your curve tangent to these 2 arcs here. I don't know.
Can you?
Yeah, it's a sculptural chair. Do whatever you
No,
want.
no. What I mean is, if you move the crest rail down, will still fit.
Yes. Yeah,
So-
this should fit all the way down to here.
so this is 1 inch above
Yes.
square,
Theoretically, it should be.
okay.
1
And
inch.
then where's this curve come from, the same curve?
I use the same curve,
Okay,
and for my 4.5 inch rail, I come down like about 4 1/16. Or what I can tell you is, come up at the corners 3/8 of an inch. So 3/8 of an inch right there. Okay. You kind of got all that?
so here we created the fillet by either a bandsaw cut,
Right.
but up here we're,
Yeah, we'll see. We'll get there.
well, you have to allow for the fillet matching on the crest rail.
I'm not there yet. We're getting
You're
there.
not done yet. I'm finally understanding something, he said, shut up.
So, notice, I removed all this material right here. This is 3/8 of an inch of material. So I'm gonna take my square and set it on 3/8 of an inch. And I'm gonna draw this line all the way up here. All the way up, all the way up.
Drawing pencils.
I know. What happens when I get excited and trying to give up. So 3/8 of an inch is what I'm shooting for.
And you're gonna go 3/8 all the way down?
All the way down to here.
Oh,
Okay.
no. All the way down to where?
Here.
The seat? No.
It corresponds to where you cut the round out.
Right there.
I thought we had to allow for the fillet.
There is a fillet here. This one's been cut.
Oh, that one's been cut, okay.
This one has not.
But you don't stop,
This is where we're going.
you don't stop a little bit above the chair.
We'll get there.
Okay. 2 shut-ups in 1 class, woo!
Okay.
Okay,
So
be understanding something.
now I have my 3/8 line here. Now I can take my 1 inch curve and draw that like that. So I want to be tangent to my curve. Got my best thumb showing here. I beat up thumb. Okay, so right there. And I just did that. Okay,
That's which circle, the 2-inch circle?
this is my 2-inch diameter, my 1-inch radius. Okay, or you go in and you get your clapper rolled baking powder container, or whatever curve you like there, that works. So now I know where, that's where my arc is going to be tangent here. So I don't want to do this. I want to stop. Hey, how about if you stop right about there? Wouldn't that be a smart idea?
But you can't go through the arm joint.
Yeah, I'm going right through it.
Stop what? Whatever tool you're using?
I'm going to remove all this material right here.
With what tool?
Exactly. The tool. What tool?
Right
now, I'm just telling you, we're taking the chair and we're putting it on a diet.
You're not doing this, Edge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
did the whole thing.
Oh, that one up there. This
So
is-
your
this is
arm
that
is
for that?
not that. Oh,
Yeah, we left
Yeah,
3/8
because
trim.
the-
oh, okay.
This was
That's
already
the arm
3/8.
What's that? Well, that's why when I laid this out, we talked about
Yes.
laying this out. That's why this is so far over here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
See how big far this is here?
yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't
Yeah.
centered in this leg.
Correct.
You are allowed for that 3/8.
Yeah, I kind of knew that was coming. Now the question is, now I could leave this thicker right here. And what Sam does, see this little arc right here? He draws this arc that kind of comes up right up in that area. So then he removes the 3/8 all out of here and leaves this thick, and this all blends into the crest rail. Okay? And this fillet that comes from underneath the arm actually comes up the back of the leg, and there's a slight thinning of the back of the leg, so that I have a line that comes up here and comes all the way up the back, and then actually goes to the top of the crest rail and rotates over this way, and then comes around and then goes like this, and then flows back around and goes to the other side. I decided that was too complicated, so let's just make it simple and go from there. But I'll bring my chair in and show you my interpretation of, oops,
Oh, yeah.
took too much off. This is my interpretation of what happened. Okay. So now we know how high to go, so we don't have to do this, create a patch. And then after I patched it, I figured out that the best patching material for this leg would have been from the piece I cut out of here.
Oh.
But I didn't. I just went with the, hey, look, here's a piece. It fits. Good. Stuff it in there. Okay.
So we are not leaving this fat. We are taking the
If you,
whole.
it's totally up to you what
Unless
you want to
you-
do.
unless you want.
On me, I'm going the full. Okay. So I'm going to leave all these templates over here so you guys can compare. Now you take them to your desk and mix them up with these other templates over here, and this is what I use to create. But the concept is more important. So about a half an inch back from here. I think this is about a 1/4 inch. This happens to be about 5/16. So this would be 5/16 off the top. That's about 3/8 up from the end over here, roughly. I mean, theoretically, this and this should be the same. But roughly right in that area. So, now to get these in here, I clamped this up with a nice clamp and my angle blocks that we had on here. I took this is a 3/8 Forstner bit. Okay, you can do a 1/2 inch. And I just eyeballed square and just drove it in. So the question becomes, where am I gonna screw this? So what I did was I came down to here, my line, and I measured that, split that in half. This should be, if you did everything I did, this should be 1 inch. So half of that is 1/2 inch. I came down to the bottom of my crest rail, and then I just measured what the bottom was and split that, and I just drew a line straight up here.
And
And deciding
so
that
that,
it
I'm
was,
sorry, that's this way. How about this way? Did you just say something I missed? Did you come up
I
an inch?
split this line in half, and I drew a line from that center point to that center point right there.
That gives you this,
Yes,
but I'm
Okay.
asking about the vertical locations.
I'm not there yet.
Okay,
But good question, I'm almost there. So trying to lay out these lines was gonna be a total pain behind, so I made a little story stick. So I sent you that drawing that theoretically, if you did everything correctly, you should be able to do this. This should work, and you should have enough clearance for your screws where your screws aren't getting too close to your shaped edges.
And these are based on this and this?
This is based on a 4.5 inch.
But it's also based on your curves.
Yes, yeah. That of course I don't even know, I just went and guessed them today. So what I did was I lined this up with the top right here, and I just went through and I made marks here, 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 and there.
But that's not the bottom of your crest rail anymore.
What?
That's not where the
4.5 inch, right there?
But you're gonna be curving it up here. Right?
What's that?
You're gonna be
I guess it
curving.
doesn't matter.
No, no, that's the chair. Yeah, the crest rail will be, it won't be up here, it'll be here.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's the bottom of my crust rail.
Yeah, it
So
will
I did,
Before you shape
I did the
it.
math, so this should be, I think, roughly a 1/2 inch. The screw should be a 1/2 inch, roughly. And this is what I shot for. Okay, so I did that. Now I'm gonna use this Forstner bit, which has a, what's that right there?
Center point.
Has a center point. So how do you find the center point of your crisscross right here? I went and I took an awl, or an ice pick, depending on how old you guys are,
You're funny.
and I line it up like this, push the point to where I go, and then I just poke.
So you use this before you drill your screw holes?
Yes, yes. But I used an awl. Do you guys know where the awls are?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're in the-
Second door,
Yeah.
right up about here. One has a stubby point, the next one has a big long point, and then there's another one that's somewhere in the middle. I usually take the nice long pointed one, and all I do is literally, I just take this, find out where my point is, rock it up, and then just push. Okay. Those of you who are gonna make templates, if you were really smart, you would actually, those nail holes we have, you might line your nail hole up with kind of where your plug is,
So
and then it
you're-
hides it. Remember the nail hole that I had? Remember the nails that are inside the template?
That we put it on?
Yeah, that you pressed on? If you put the nail, somewhere in this vicinity, then you never have to worry about it not closing up. Just a thought along the way, okay? So I did that on both sides. They're the same. So I'm either gonna have the same screws popping out the bottom, or making it all look good, okay? So I took this, and all I'm doing is eyeballing, see how easy it was to find that nice center hole? Okay, and then I'm just squaring myself up as best I can. And pressing that in. That was a little uphill, but life goes on. It's a sculptural chair, right? So what I'm doing is my hand's holding this, and my arm's tight to my body, and I'm literally just pushing this forward like this. Okay?
So you're drilling the plug holes.
I'm drilling the plug holes. And I just decided full depth would be fantastic.
Full depth of the actual cutter.
Yeah, the
What
cutter.
is that, 3/8, 3?
This is at 3/8 right now.
I mean,
You're gonna get
3,
plugged
how
in.
deep is it, I meant? 3,
I don't know. It's that deep. I went the full depth of this
Half-inch?
gutter.
looks like,
Looks like about a quarter of an inch.
It's about 5/16. It's just, what can I consistently measure going on there? Now, for instance, up in the front, like on Joy's chair, she has this leg that kind of protrudes out, and your depth is going to be based on how are you shaping that. If you leave a flat on there and just round over the edges, okay, so just go at least 3/16 deep and put a plug in there, and life is good. But if all of a sudden you start having to shape through that plug, you don't want to all of a sudden go, oh look, I see where that screw is. You know, so I
We
would,
have an oval plug.
yeah. Well, no, you can have, yeah, you will have, definitely if you shape on it, you will have an oval
Big
plug.
egg shape.
But what you don't want, you know, you want to know what shape are you going to put on here. That will help to determine how deep you're going to go. I'm going simple. We're just rounding these over, and life goes with it. Okay.
So we do all this before we do the round over?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you
Unless
did-
you already know what you're doing.
You did the plug holes
Okay.
first. You haven't drilled the screw holes.
So now I'm drilling the screw hole.
But you assumed you could line up normal to that
Yeah.
leg face, right?
So what I've chosen to do, you know, if I make a big, so here's my, you know, let's just say that's my leg, or my, now, you know, I have some severe angle that I need to get, you know, something's going off like, you know, something kind of like that. Okay? Well, I don't want to come in straight because there's a good chance that's going to come out. But by going oversized, now I can come over here and maybe not grab the center of this, maybe I push over here a little bit, and now I drill this sort of like that.
You didn't get a line. Thank you.
Can't you envision, my dear?
Yeah, me and Envision.
It's kaput.
Oops. At least I made it out the door.
Keep your day job.
Well, some days I'm like really impressed how well. No, I don't want to use that one. I have done that before.
The definitive word.
Look, I'll use this one.
The Sharpie.
Okay.
And what-
I don't know where my other ones
the other
go.
Okay, then I'll Envision.
So basically, here I'll use my Sharpie.
So you're using an oversized plug hole with
So that
a
I can
small
come-
screw head, so
Yeah.
you have a little more wiggle.
So I have a little. You know, where do I want to put this in here? Okay.
But the screw head is then not gonna end up normal in the surface.
No.
No.
Okay.
And if you have a countersink, you know, maybe your countersink is, you know, pause your video. Kind of like that.
If it fits
You know, so
down.
I'm going oversized. So for instance, like on an arm here, where I talked about having that level, well, for instance, what On has, where the angle's like this, you know, my plug I think is like a 1-inch plug, just so I can get the right angle on there. Because you need to have clearance so that the bit, when the bit comes in, you know, I've got to come in like this, because I don't want to hit that corner. So that, you know, I might have to go, oh look, it has to go bigger, so that I can clear that corner to get the angle that I want.
So you started with the 3/8 expecting you might have to go bigger?
I'm hoping I don't have to go
Okay.
bigger. I'm
Alright.
hoping.
Okay.
What I'm thinking of doing is finding a washer that fits right over this head that happens to be maybe a 3/8 or smaller head that just gives me a little bit more, you know, so I'm not smashing wood is what I'm gonna look into. May or may not work, okay? So now we have that. Now I know where I'm gonna cut.
Are you making a drilling template to keep your ankle proper
Oh.
for the screw hole? or-
Oh, so I drew this line right here,
Mhm.
that line that I drew straight across here.
Uh-huh.
And so what I did was I found the center point hole on here
On the plug hole?
And then you lose.
on my, and I
Line
stuck
up
the
through
bit in
the
there
line.
and I just aimed for that.
You just aimed.
I just aimed literally for this corner right here.
Okay.
And I said, it's going like that.
Close is good enough.
Yeah. And so I'm just aiming for that.
Just don't go crazy
So-
with the shape.
So the center goes in, normal to here, so then this screw comes through and I'm just aiming for something kind of like that. I'm aiming for the thick part of this meat in that area. That's all I'm trying to do.
If you were positive where the screw was, you would ruin all the drama of the shape.
Yeah, okay, so I didn't drill that. So yeah,
We
so I'm
must
just,
introduce stress in our lives.
so I'm just gonna take
Makes us
this.
yawn.
In this case, I can find the center, and I'm just going, okay, right about there, looks there, and I'm just doing my best to. I want to screw it up, but I don't want to screw it up, right?
And you checked
In is
it?
better.
I haven't checked nothing.
They're better than-
And the nice thing about these screws is really all the drill hole is for is to tell the screw where to go. I could probably take this screw right here without a hole and just drive it right through that.
Did you say you split this and this to get this? Is this coming in the middle? Or did you just,
Your template.
oh, you did center to center. Thank you. That's right, I have
Does that make sense?
Yes.
If you come up with a better method, tell me, you know, that's more successful. All I know is I did not feel comfortable when my screw was like literally the thickness of threads away from that surface there. And I stopped sanding because I was afraid I was gonna sand and see these nice horizontal ribs from the screw pop out. And so, okay, I'm just gonna, and then what was the other thing I was supposed to tell them? So there's center, aim.
And you have center because the Forstner bit has that center pivot.
It just happens to work out nicely. You know, if like on this drawing, I wouldn't pick center. I would move it off center. But center just happens to work for what I'm doing, so I just, it's like, why not? It's easy to find. And there we go. And then you want to look at this, does the joint look tight?
But when you said you found the center, that's because you could feel it because
Yes,
of what's left
yes,
from the Forstner.
exactly. I found the dimple
Gotcha.
from there.
Mhm.
Okay. And if my joint looks good, then I'm happy. So I'm just gonna lay this out, lay out my taper, 1 inch square at the bottom, up to my 3/8 mark. Now my 3/8 mark's actually gonna be, I'm gonna use this router setup over here that has a ball nose bit on it and a bearing. And it's gonna follow. Thank you. This is actually gonna fit right in the dados, and we're gonna clamp down on here, and I'm gonna use this as my reference. And with great observation, I determined that this should be at least
17, 18 inches.
long, not this short stubby thing. Because when it's this stubby, I have to keep moving the clamps around to do that. Yes,
You said lay out the trim, the 3/8 trim off the inside of the leg.
yes.
But did you leave the 1 inch at the bottom all the way around?
Yeah, it's basically 1 inch square at the bottom. I've just chosen
You
that.
didn't leave, you didn't,
Did you
trimmed-
just do that
you
so it'd
trimmed
be
the inside
easier
of the
to
leg.
cut it?
Trim it down here. You didn't leave 1 inch all the way around there.
No, I measured 1 inch at the bottom.
But you,
There she goes with the buttons.
but you didn't stop trimming at the bottom.
One inch. 1 inch and a little change. Okay. So let's just do it.
Okay, but you trimmed 3/8 all the way down this leg, including this 1 inch at the bottom.
Okay, so here's my setup so that I match. Okay. Jam. Okay. Okay.
Okay, I thought you meant 1 inch up from the bottom, stop trimming.
No.
Okay,
Okay, so that's 1 inch. I have my 3/8 mark right here. And if I were really to be really accurate, what I do is I'm going to do this.
And then taper to the edge of the curve.
Yeah, to make a line tangent to that arc right there. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark my 3/8 mark right here, how deep I want to go, and then I'm going to use my ball nose bit to cut that out to 3/8 deep.
so that's just in that area.
Just literally, can you go grab that?
So
router?
if we get to all this point at home, we can use our bandsaw to trim the leg.
Do not trim the leg until you
but-
get
but
this.
leave that 1.5 inch
Yeah, don't do any, because this is telling you where it's going to meet. Okay.
So don't do that part at home?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that
Okay.
unless you want to go out and buy this bit and make the.
I
do
don't.
this.
Ball nose?
Yeah, it's a ball nose bit.
Ball nose. Not bull nose, ball nose?
It's a ball. B-A-L-L.
Ball nose.
Okay.
I always call that a round groove bit.
So see how this fits in this slot right here?
Or just flip it.
So now we're going to clamp this down, and we're going to take this bit right here, and we're going to run this to a depth of 3/8 of an inch.
And that's gonna give you the defining cut to
Yes.
groove, okay.
Then once I have that depth right there, and what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to try and find another bit that's similar to this and another router, and we'll do some hogging first. Then we'll chase that because that bit's getting kind of dull. Okay, so now notice then he marked a line tangent to here, down to that point, and just drew a straight line.
Okay.
And then you just
And Joy's gonna hold that.
bandsaw that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So then I came up here and noticed on the front leg right here, I have a 3/8 cut all the way up here. I could taper it if I wanted, but I decided to go with 3/8.
So we're gonna do the same thing on the back and the front leg.
Yep. And so what I did was there was a 3/4 inch dado blade set up, and I went out there and I took a miter gauge and just started cutting. And I'll show you how to do that. And I tried to get my cuts as square to this area as I could, which is really easy on this one. But on this one, or on the back leg, since there's all those angles on there, you have to kind of fudge around with it. Okay. Yes,
So
sir.
you only routed on 3 edge, the inside.
Because we didn't have the
front,
jig.
Leave that alone.
Because I didn't have the jig set up.
Now we have it.
Now we do, because I had some expert students that were ahead. And
And why do you want to keep the cut perpendicular to the frontage?
oh, just less material to take away.
Why do this one on the dado stack and not just on the bandsaw?
Well, on this one I did on the bandsaw.
Oh, okay.
Because I did it in the wrong order. It really doesn't matter.
Because here you need to do it on the.
But it just, look,
the
I've
dado
got it
stack.
set up to do this.
Yeah, fair enough.
Might as well do this. Now the key thing is, so I ended up doing it on the bandsaw over here. Why did I end up doing it on the bandsaw? Because when you remove all this material over here, you have very little support to go to the table saw and start doing that. What I have done in the past is I left a little nub here, you know, like a 1/4 inch nub, and then I just removed everything else in the middle of the nub. But I didn't think of that last time I did that. And so then you have your reference points on either side, and then you just knock that
So we're
out.
better off doing top than bottom.
Correct. So we're gonna do 3/8 first, and then bandsaw taper second.
The three,
What's that?
the cove first.
Cove first, but when we go to remove the material, we're gonna start with the table saw. Just because it gives you a nice clean surface, actually gives you a nice, relatively clean surface. I'm not really sure if you feel accurate on the bandsaw, you know, go do it. Which on this one, I just set the fence up and said, okay, that looks good, and I just went and did it. Okay.
You did
Boys
this
are
too?
pretty good out
Wasn't
there.
this proud?
Oh, very good. And Jaime said, look at this is proud right here. So I had this proud. I did a much better job on, well,
Did you trim that excess?
I
there?
trimmed this. So how did I trim that?
Did you give us instructions for that yet?
I did not.
Okay.
Because I forgot until Jaime observed and said that. I actually went to the table saw.
Did you trim a 1/4 inch off?
No,
I thought you said we were gonna do it with the
Oh,
rubber.
1/8 of an inch?
I trimmed whatever I needed. So what I did was I took my pencil right here and I just marked a mark on that leading edge right there.
Yeah.
And then I went to the table saw and moved the fence over and I just nibbled. And I looked and I said, oh, move the fence over, and I kept nibbling until I got to the fence. Until I got to where my line was. And then I just ripped it.
But didn't you have to angle it?
No, on this? No.
Because you used
I
that.
basically did
as
what we
the-
did with your, you know, originally when we did everything.
It's-
I just referenced
I
that
thought it
surface.
was- Oh, it's straight, but
Yeah,
it's
it's just a
not.
straight cut.
Oh, that's
It's
right.
angled, but it's straight.
Correct. And
Just
so,
a
yeah.
straight cut if it's not
So I
limited.
did, I just went up there and I'm like, hey, that's a pretty good way. And this one I set up and I said, I set this one up, and I thought, oh, it's a 1/4 inch, and I just ran it. Well, guess what? It wasn't a 1/4 inch, it was a 1/4 inch plus a 32nd. So then when I came to the next one, I drew the line and actually worked to the line, then I ripped it. And so I was literally ripping an 1/8 inch strip off.
Or you can do on
With the goal
the
being to,
hand
sorry,
plane over there.
I could do it with the hand plane,
with the goal being.
or heck, you could do it with the sander.
Did you just use like a zero clearance fence?
No, I had an 1/8 inch there, so I just picked a clean fence, not one that was all beat up. We have there's like 2 out there that are really beat up. I wouldn't use those.
But the goal of that is to make it
As flush as you can.
flush with the leg, thank you,
Yeah.
flush.
Yeah. And if not, I'll just sand a little bit off the leg.
And so we can do that part anytime now.
Yep, you can do that part anytime. Okay. Just be careful when you're ripping thin strips. You know?
Oh,
I mean, it went a lot easier than I expected, and it was a lot simpler task than I thought it was gonna be. I don't know why. On, how much time do you need to do your thing?
no, I'm done. I had to go home to work.
Oh,
I had to redo it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was hoping to stop 15, but
Yeah.
sorry about that.
It's okay.
To
It's
get you
okay.
back out there. But you'll be so much better at setting it up the second time, right? You'll either do it like that, or
No.
2 hours later, you're still dialing it in.
30 seconds.
30 second on each side, and that's a real easy amount to get to take off. Okay.
I missed that completely. That's on trimming the edge seat, the seat edge or not?
So if you leave
Oh,
it-
that's
This-
on the
this-
core
That leaves,
box.
that leaves you a 30-second right
This
here
jig,
after you do the bonus.
You route this, that should give you from this sharp edge to this sharp
Okay.
edge, a 30-second on each side.
But that's not, see, I didn't listen because that's not something I'm gonna do at home, so that's okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And so,
Leave it proud.
so that's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
And then I came up roughly an inch from where my marks were, and I rounded over to that. And left out, I'm just gonna leave this square. Okay? And then, when I'm happy with everything, and I'm just about ready to glue this thing up, you know, I'll probably go over there and I'll go to the bandsaw, cut close to my line, and then just sand to my line.
If we get the crest rail laid out and installed, can we trim it or not?
Oh, so are you
Yeah, if you
cutting
want.
that inch off?
No, I'm cutting off right here.
Okay.
That's my line right there.
Okay.
And I just came up 1 inch. So as you're moving this thing around the shop,
Yeah,
you know,
you
you don't
need to
if you
chip out the end
yeah,
of
you
your
don't
chair.
keep that out. And these roundovers are really easy to knock off real fast. I mean, really fast.
But the crest rail's
You're talking
not
about from here to here?
vertical, so how do you cut that shape on the,
One bandsaw.
do you have to tip the table? It's not.
On this, no. To cut the two curves on the top, I'm just gonna go.
No, not the top and the bottom, I'm talking about the front face and the back face.
The front face shall be flat. The back face, you're gonna probably have to do some tilting. Because it does what? It goes.
Oh,
Yeah. Or you're gonna have a really thin crest rail.
oh, yeah.
Don't want that.
And you can do it. You know, just make sure you leave lots of bulk so that you can shape into that. And go from there.
What area are you talking about right now?
The back.
What area?
So right here.
Yeah.
So notice how it's narrow here and gets thicker here. So if I were to go to the bandsaw and cut this line, you know, right here, exact, you know, if I were to be real exact, then I would come down here and it would probably be thinner than this is down here.
Oh, got it, got it.
You know, so actually, how far should you go this way? You should probably mark this line right here.
Is it better to just take the grinder thing?
Yeah, well, we're gonna leave, if you leave material there, then you're gonna be good. So if I take this and I go to the bottom of my leg,
It's a lot more work on the bandsaw though.
you know, I come here. This would probably be the easier way to do it. So if I mark right there at the bottom, and then I come up to here. So now, that's gonna be my minimum amount that I'm gonna leave.
Okay.
And so then I should zero out right here,
Got it.
and then I'll taper this in here.
Yeah, yeah.
So you
That makes
can do
sense.
the initial cut with the bandsaw if you do that?
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, just make sure you don't follow this line, you leave extra material.
Yeah.
And so I might even come up, you know, 1/8 of an inch. That would probably even be better. Because I'd rather come in here and fare this in and go, hey, I mean, the neat thing about shaping tools is they just start, as you're working, they just start to bring a shape on there that just is that shape because of the tool you're using. And you're like, oh, that looks pretty neat. And it actually flows. So yeah, so I would probably.
Do you have like, what kind of shaping tools are we using? Curved chisels or?
I'll bring in, remind me next week and I'll bring them in and I'll show you what I'm using. And so I'll show you what we have. And so you can just power grind most